Hi everyone, and welcome to today's edition of Makerspace. My name is Holly and I work for the Region of Waterloo Library. Today on Makerspace I'm going to show you how to construct your own labyrinth maze at home. So it's more or less a marble run, but turned into a labyrinth maze. So we asked you to collect some materials for today. A shoebox, a pizza box, this happens to be a photo frame box, so a box that a frame came in that I've taken off the extra pieces. So any kind of box that has a wall around it already for you, just to make that step easy for you. We asked you to collect some popsicle sticks. So these ones here are the thicker ones and I've cut off the edges. You can use thinner ones too, and then just cut off your corners. You'll need a ruler for today, so a little bit of measuring going on. An X-Acto knife, if your parents are okay with you using it, or you might need a little bit of help with that. You could use a pair of scissors though too. A pen, pencil, perhaps a Sharpie even, and some flat pieces of cardboard. Okay, so I've got some here. Could be from anything that you have, so some gift boxes, some packing material that things have come in, cereal box, maybe something a little bit thicker though for the inside here, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So some flat pieces of cardboard. So to get started, you'll want to have your shoe box or whatever kind of box it is you're using. Make sure your corners are secure. So I've hot glued and duct taped my corners here just to make sure it's nice and secure. So I'm just going to set that over here just for a minute while I get the rest of my materials out. So I'm going to move my popsicle sticks out of the way, and I'm going to get out my ruler and my pencil and my scissors. Okay, so the first step you're going to do is determine how deep your box is. So mine is about 1 inch deep. So I'm going to cut out strips to go inside here that are a 1/2 inch deep. So whatever the depth of your box is, if it's 2 inches, then make your strips 1 inch high. If it's 3, make it 1.5 inch high. So basically take the depth and put it in half. Then you're going to take your sort of thicker piece of cardboard here, and you're going to measure out. Your width is going to be a 1/2 inch. So if you have a nice straight side here, or if you need to take a ruler and make a nice straight edge, whoops. And then you're going to measure across. So for me it's a 1/2 inch that I need deep. I'm going to do that all the way down, and whatever length your box is. So mine isn't a perfect square, and that's okay. You can use a rectangle if that's what you have. So I'm going to measure the inside of my box. So from this corner to this corner. So it's about 11 inches long. Okay? So that's how long your first strip is going to be. It's going to be 11 inches long and a 1/2 inch wide. So I'm going to take my ruler here, and then I'm going to take my scissors. So I made 2 nice big lines, and I'm going to cut out a strip here. Like that. Do my best to follow my line. Okay, so that first strip I cut I've already glued in here. So you're going to take what you've cut, so 11 inches long or however long your box is, and a 1/2 inch wide, and you're going to hot glue that all along here. Okay, so you're going to take that and you're going to hot glue it along the edge so it's standing up. So I'll turn that so you can see that. I'm going to reach over and grab my hot glue gun. And I'm going to hot glue that into my box. Working quickly with my hot glue. So I have 2 pieces there inside my box. Now I have pre-cut my other pieces, so again a 1/2 inch wide, and I believe it was a little bit less than 11 to make it fit inside here, so maybe 10 1/4, because basically what you're doing is you're lining the inside of the box like that. So what you're doing is you're making a little ledge for your Labyrinth maze to sit on. So we're going to glue that. So that's my 3rd piece inside. Glue that down. Okay, so for this last piece though, I'm just going to reach back and put my hot glue gun back on my table out of the way. So a Labyrinth maze basically needs a place for the marble to escape from. Okay? So I could just hot glue that down, but if my marble, let's bring this back over. So if my marble goes through the hole that it shouldn't, not my end hole, then it's going to get trapped in my box. So we got to make sure we have a way for that marble to come out. So I'm going to take my pencil here, and I have marked right here, and I'm going to do it in Sharpie even so you can see it a bit better. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that I've got a way for my marble to come out. So right there, and right there, oops, and over. So I'm going to cut that out, just with my scissors. I'm pretty sure my marble can fit out of there. Doesn't matter what size of marble you have, as long as it fits in your box. So my box isn't very deep, so I've chosen a smaller marble, and I'll show you here that it will come out. There we go. Okay, so then this last strip that you're going to glue in here of your little ledge that you're making, you're going to want to make sure that there's space there for that marble to come out. So I'm going to cut it right there. So it's going to become 2 pieces. Okay, so a little more hot gluing. Glue that in there. So today's program, we're talking about engineering, and we're talking about math, and some elements of design and art in there, of course, too. All right, so there's my base for my Labyrinth maze. Make sure that's nice and tight. I'm just going to set that aside for a minute. So you're going to take your other piece of cardboard, that it doesn't matter if it's thick or not. It could be a nice flat piece, it could be a cereal box, it could be whatever you have on hand. We just need to make sure that it fits in here. So you need to measure, so the length of my one side I know was 11 inches, and approximately 10 1/4 was mine. So we need to make sure that we have a square that fits on top. So you see that I've got some lines on here already. So what I found helpful in making my base to my Labyrinth was to take my ruler, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but you could take your ruler and just run a Sharpie or a marker or a pen. Pencil doesn't show up quite as good, and just outline your ruler. So I'm going to do the same this way. So you have a grid to work with for your Labyrinth. And on my final product here, I used pencil. Like I said, the Sharpie or a marker would show up a little bit better and make it easier for you. So that's all I'm doing here is I'm taking my ruler and I'm just going over it with Sharpie. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect squares. It's just more of a guideline. Oops. For you to make your design. Okay, so in my maze, I determined that my end was going to be down here. You could have yours off to the side, wherever you'd like. But that is where you're going to make a hole. So that would be your end piece. So you're going to take, I took a nickel here. Depending on the size of your marble, you might need a quarter, you might need a dime. And just to make a circle for it to go through. And then that's where the X-Acto knife comes in handy, if you have one, and if your parents are comfortable with you using one. So I'm going to cut out that hole very carefully and slowly to make my end mark where my marble's going to go through. A little bit more. Okay. So that's sort of your starting point. For me anyways, was to figure out where's the end. And then for mine, I just started to have my start up here. You could have your start over here, up here, wherever you'd like. And then what I thought was helpful too was to take a piece of paper and to map out an idea before I actually put it down here. So I took a scrap piece of paper and I just sort of marked out a design how I would want my marble to try to get down to the end, and that's the end here. So for yours, you might want to use pencil too, just so you don't see all the grid lines, but I want to make sure you could see sort of why I did that. So I'm going to take my popsicle sticks that already have the edges cut off because we want a nice clean corner. So however we decide to make our maze like that. And what you might want to do is to cut them into smaller pieces and medium pieces. So I've got some nice longer ones, a shorter one, and I will do a medium one too. If you do a nice clean cut, they generally cut quite well. The thicker ones, or you can use the thinner ones too. So then what you do is just start hot gluing down. So if you have an idea in mind, you can get started. If you want to map it out on a piece of paper, that's also a good idea. So all I'm doing is hot gluing that upright like that on my cardboard. And then I'm going to take this one and glue it down like this. And then maybe this one down like that. And I'll show you here. After I get this one glued down where we're at. Okay, that aside. So far I have this. So this is my end. Sorry, maybe I should flip it around. There we go, there's my end. And I'm gonna put my start up here. So far my marble can either go down here, it can go across and through here and get trapped, and you can make it however you want to try to go down. So I'll put that over here, and I'll show you, yes, this is my, took me a minute to remember, so this is my end. So what I'm going to do, I just thought of this, is that I'm going to take a Sharpie, maybe a red one even, and mark that as my end. So I'm going to take my Sharpie and color over where that circle is over top. so that it is nice and bright. But that is the end. So that's the one you're aiming for. And then I'm going to take my other Sharpie, my black one, and write start at the top here. So this is where you put your marble to start. All right. So this is what I have in the end. So I know that's the start up here. So I'm going to put my marble here, and then what you might want to do on most Labyrinth boards is some additional circles. So I've taken my nickel and I've traced out a hole here, 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 and down here. But we're aiming for that to be the end. So once you have this part completed, and that's sort of the funner part, is to determine where you're going to put your lines and your popsicle sticks to make your maze and to put your traps in. So then your last step is to take this finished product, and this is what I meant by your ledges here. So your final product is going to sit on those ledges. All your measuring has been done. Good, for it to fit. So it might take a little bit of trial and error. The first one I did was very much that, but then I found an easier way to make this part. So putting a little ledge in is the easiest way I figured out how to make one of these, and then I'm just going to hot glue that right on top, like that. So then if I take my marble and I start it here at the start, I'm going to put it around and show you, right there. And then I have to try to get it all the way down to the end. Oh no, I didn't. But there we go. There my marble came out. So I got trapped right here. Sorry, right here. The marble went down here instead of making it all the way down to the end. So another way that you could do a marble run, if you don't want to do a labyrinth maze though, is to take another box and maybe mark out where you want to put some popsicle sticks and make it more of like an arcade game. So you start your marble at the top here like this, and then it's sort of one of those moving mazes like this to get to the very bottom. I'll do that once more. So you start like that. And there we go, all the way to the bottom. So another use of popsicle sticks, an empty box, and a marble, and some hot glue. Alright, so today's program we talked about engineering, so the design process of how we're going to get our marble from the start to the bottom, some math in terms of measuring and making sure we've got the right measurements so that our template fits in our box, some circles being drawn and some lines formed, and art, of course, so your element of design and color. Thank you for joining us today on Makerspace, and I hope you have fun making a labyrinth maze or a marble run of your own. Bye for now.